Okay, everybody, this is Aaron, and along with me I have Jesse from Bommer. We're going to be doing a presentation today showing you how to build better bills of material with Bommer, and that's a little bit of a alliteration there, but we're okay with that. Thanks for attending, everybody. I know everyone's busy. We're going to run through a quick intro of myself and Jesse, and then show you a little bit about Fusion before we get into what you're probably all here to see, which is Bommer. I went to the University of Nevada, Reno. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have a background in simulation, and I make a lot of the videos that you see on YouTube, including this one, which we will be posting as soon as we're done. Along with me, I have Jesse. And Jesse, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Jesse Rosalia. I have over 17 years in software development in a variety of different industries. I was bitten by the hardware bug when I was the CTO of a cooking robot startup, which is where I also dabbled in mechanical and electrical engineering and experienced a lot of the problems I built Bommer to solve. I am also a proud alumnus of Georgia Tech. Go Yellow Jackets.
So can you tell us a little bit about Bommer?
Yeah, so Bommer was born out of a frustration that we had at the cooking robot company, getting bills of materials put together in a way that didn't take a ton of time and didn't introduce a lot of errors into our process. And so Bommer as a company, we're building frictionless software to help you build error-free BOMs so you can ultimately ship more product.
Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and take over and tell you guys a little bit about Fusion 360 for those of you who are not familiar. And this will be real quick because we assume that people attending these app-oriented webinars are probably already familiar with Fusion. But Fusion is the first of its kind. It's a fully integrated CAD, CAM, and CAE simulation tool. It connects your entire development process in a single environment. It enables you to do industrial design, mechanical design, create those amazing marketing renderings, run simulations, and as you know, we've been expanding our simulation capabilities quite a lot. And also it's backed up with a pretty formidable CAM tool, HSM. Fusion's also built on the cloud, so it enables you to collaborate and work across the globe. And me and Jesse prepared this whole presentation from our own workspaces. We didn't really have to get together very much. We were able to collaborate very quickly and easily using the integrated cloud capabilities and data management. And Bommer's obviously there to address bill of material requirements, and they are a very big deal for anyone who's producing anything. Obviously, I mean, it's really one of the main deliverables that you take from your design and go to produce something. It's purchasing needs it to buy parts, and obviously you can use it to help demonstrate how something's put together and even provide information for replacement parts. It is your ingredient list for your product, and this will tell you what parts you need, how many, what they might cost, who the vendor might be, etc. It's so very important for what you're trying to build. And in the event that it's wrong, you're going to have real big issues that you're going to need to overcome. I mean, you could potentially build the wrong thing. I mean, you put a different motor where you're expecting a higher rated motor. You might be a different product or a wrong product. It might have the right output that you require, your customers are requiring. So it's gonna get in the way of you building the right thing, or you'll get unexpected behaviors. You could potentially build the right thing, but lose money because, again, you could be using the wrong part, you could be sourcing it from the wrong vendor, or any number of issues that could be related to that. And if you get lucky, you might build the right part and make money, but if something changes in manufacturing and you can't react quick enough, I mean, you're going to have downtime, and that's going to cost money, and that's going to cause you issues. So Bommer does an incredible job of addressing bill of material requirements and bill of material needs for Fusion 360 users. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the demonstration. And I want to show you guys, what we have in Fusion currently, but it is somewhat limited, and Bommer actually addresses a lot of the problems that you might be experiencing as you go to create drawings and parts lists for your designs. So here's this little robot design that I've been working on for another project. It's It's actually something that we're producing and printing right now, but there's actually a lot of purchase parts on here, like servo motors and control units and Bluetooth sensors, etc. So at this point, I'm pretty much ready to start producing this, and so I'm going to go into the drawing that I started to create. So here you can see I've already dropped in a view, and I want to create the bill of materials that'll help, illustrate the actual construction of this product. So to create the bill of materials, I can select the parts list from here, and using our new abilities to actually create specific parts lists for specific views or to use different sheets, etc. I'm going to just drop in this parts list for the only view that we have currently in this drawing sheet, and I'll just put it up here in the upper right hand corner of my workspace, and using that nice little anchor to drop it into place. You can see it's going to bring over things like item number, quantity, and that would be related to like balloons. If I were to start dropping balloons on this, quantity is obviously related to the number of items that we have in there. But it's it's missing some information, and actually going and editing things like description is kind of a time-consuming thing in Fusion right now, and Bommer has some real awesome capabilities to address that. So that's nice that we have that ability. You can obviously export that to CSV. That was added recently. And I want to really quickly just show you guys the ability to add another base view and another parts list related to what we're looking at right here. So in this case, I might just want to make a parts list for just one of the leg sub-assemblies. So I'll just drop this into place. I'll select my view type, etc. And at this point, when I drop this into this new sheet that I've created, I can go and I can just get rid of the bodies that I don't want to include, or I can just select the one that I want to include and suppress all except the selected. This is going to enable me the ability to create a specific bill related to just this guy right here. So you can see as I go to select views, it's enabling me to select which drawing view I want to create this parts list from. So we'll just drop it up here, and there we go. And that's currently what we have in Fusion 360 for creating bills of materials, but Bomber actually fills a lot of gaps that might exist and might be required by users right now today in industry.
Parts lists are obviously a critical component in your bills of materials, but you may want to capture other information as you're designing your product. And in this particular case, I have a simple camera assembly that maybe I'm trying to get ready for manufacturing, maybe I'm just putting some prototypes together. But I have my design, and I want to put some information in there that will be carried forward to my bill of materials. First, actually, I'm going to take a step back and make sure that the information that I want to capture is all actually programmed or set up inside Bommer correctly. Bommer operates on really three main principles. One is you set up all of your data, your fields ahead of time. Second is you then edit all of that data as much as you want for your model. And then the third is you got to share it, or you have to export it, or you have to do something with it. And we're going to walk through each of those three aspects today. So the first thing I'll do, you'll find Bommer after you've installed it and registered it, it's under the model workspace. I'm going to go into the settings, and this ships with Bommer. It's just a set of fields that we think are important for people at a bare minimum to want to capture. But these are the fields that Bommer lets you edit that get stored along with your part data or your component data. And for the purposes of today, let's go ahead and add another field. Let's just say it was reviewed. I want Aaron to review my work here, so I'll go ahead and set that up. Now, what I just did was define a field called reviewed in a category called general, and I made it a true-false type. Categories are how Bommer lets you kind of have a rough organization of your data. We'll see how that comes into play when we go and edit these values. And then the type lets you say what type of data it is. So is it a free text field? Is it a number? Is it a bounded set of values like up here with buy or make? Or is it true false, which is will manifest as a checkbox. Other options you have here is to store something at the component level or the top level. Things you might want to store at the top level are metadata that may apply to that instance of that use of that part in your assembly, but isn't universal. Things like, is it excluded from my bill of materials? what's my order quantity for this particular assembly, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and say it's a reviewed field, true false type at the component level. We'll click OK. Now we're ready to edit our bill. Click on the Edit Bill of Materials button. We're presented with a table. The table lets us drill down through our hierarchy. We can see all of our different components here. I'm going to go ahead and say mark all of these numbered components that I can see here to buy. I know they're purchased parts, so I can go through and set them all to buy. This is an example of a multiple choice field. As I mentioned, it only has 2 values, and it shows up as a drop-down box. Other things you might be able to spot here, you got your quantity. We define an order quantity field that might be overriding or different than your quantity, and you can choose which you want to pull out into your export. I can exclude things from my bill of materials, so like maybe I don't want the servo in there for whatever reason, and it's gone. And then last but not least, on this page anyway, you can see the new column we added, reviewed. It just puts out a field that you can use to manage that particular type of data in your bill of materials. So let's say you have a process for going through review. You get a bill of materials across your desk that has half of them not reviewed. You now know that you need to go back and say, hey guys, why aren't you reviewing these parts? Categories are represented across the bottom here as buttons. So as I click vendor 1, which is my other category, I can see my fields underneath that category. Some of them have already been filled out. We'll sort of leave that alone for the time being. Let's go back over to general, and I'll explore a couple ways we can like manage. So this is kind of a big, well, it's not that big of an assembly, but it could be sliced and diced a little bit just so that it makes things a little bit easier to manage. So let's say I want to look at all parts that start with 585 or contain 585. I can type a filter in there, and I can go through and say, oh, I really do want that to be buy, and I want that to be buy. Let's say I don't want a hierarchy. I want to see my absolute part list with quantity. Well, I can flatten the BOM, and there's my parts list with all quantity rolled up across all the subassemblies. Can be useful for purchase lists and other sorts of things where you just need to know how many of these 585, 556s do I really need. I can use the selection and the tree to navigate additionally. In particularly large assemblies, this is very useful for kind of like paring down what I want to see. And I can even say, give me all of the children for the subassembly that I've picked. So maybe I just want to focus on the drive subassembly. Well, with isolate selection, show isolate selection children, that's easy enough to do. And then last but not least in here, let's say I want to get some of those excluded components back. I didn't really want to exclude the quarter servo. I click show excluded components. I can undo my mistake. And now for the purposes of this demo, or this section of the demo, we'll call this good. We'll click OK. I'll go back in just to see that it's saved. You can see that all of these buys are there. In fact, I'll go ahead and just repeat that thing I did earlier, and they're all buy. So now I'm pretty happy with this. I want to send it over to my colleague and see what he says about the components I've chosen. I click export. The standard fields are fine, but you can see here I can choose what I do and do not want to export. Click OK, and then put in a name. We also support CSV, but probably more pertinent here is an Excel file. Click the save button, save successfully, and then we'll see it come up here in Excel. There's our bill. All of your buy indicators that we set up there, your quantities, your order quantities, the vendor information that I didn't touch with that was already pre-populated. So that's sort of a pretty simple end-to-end workflow of we define some fields, including, none of these parts have been reviewed because we didn't go through and check any of that. You edit some data, and then I want to pull out an Excel file that I can then send to my colleagues or revision along with my part data. It should be noted that all of this data that I just edited is stored with the component data in the cloud. You can notice there is a change and there is an undoable event. So this is data like any other change to any other data in Fusion 360. Let's do one more thing. It's kind of interesting. I have a fastener here. I just put one in to note that I wanted this fastener. I want to take a look at it and see what I can see or what I might want to edit. Now, you might notice that in this particular fastener, it's linked, and all of the data fields are grayed out. And this is not accidental. Basically, what's going on is I have to go into that component or that design and edit it directly. It will result in a revision of that design, which will result in an out-of-date component warning in here. Because of the way Fusion's revisioning works, this is sort of to be desired and expected. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll open the part, so I click the link button. Oops, no, I don't want that. So I'll get the last version that was saved. I will go into Bommer, and I'm going to change. First, I'm going to get rid of that V2 in the part number, and then I'm going to add the word steel to the description. If I could type. Cool. So I made the change. Modify description and part number. This will go to V3 here in just a second. Well, I'll go ahead and switch over here. Oh. Yeah, so it's V3. I get a warning that popped up, and now when I go in here, you can see it's V3, and then I'll go into the edit part properties, and it's steel 632, and there's the part number sanitized without the version information. Now, here's where things get really cool. I mean, it's all really cool in my opinion, but here's where things get really interesting. Aaron was showing you a quadbot earlier, and here's the quadbot drawing, and his quadbot also used that screw. So let's say that screw was in a standard library of parts that both Aaron's quadbot division of the company and my camera slider division of the company wanted to reference.
As Jesse's opening the drawing here, we should be able to see the update. What he hasn't shown you yet, and one of the things I love the most, is the ability to very quickly and easily add all the different details, the descriptions. It's a very time-consuming thing, especially with any of those link components. Those link components, you'd have to actually go and open individually in order to be able to see those. Now the drawing's reflecting that there is, in fact, an update there. Yeah. And as he updates it, it's going to reflect all the changes and ensure that all that's brought down into it. So it looks like it has updated. It's a little small there, but I can't see steel in the parts list in the upper right-hand corner of that first sheet. So,
there we go.
And I do like that you scrubbed the part number. You probably don't need all those versioning being shown there, but Bommer is an extremely powerful tool. Anyone who's producing and purchasing parts for designs is going to be thrilled to be able to leverage this data and ensure that all your components are carrying essentially what's metadata, correct?
Exactly. Just wanted to illustrate one thing you were just saying, Aaron. There are a couple special fields in here. So as I mentioned, as we saw, part number and description, as you edit them within Bommer, it carries through to the drawings. Those edits carry through to the drawings. Those fields are tied directly into the Fusion fields for part number and description. And similarly, part name. So for everything except the root component, I can come and say frame B, for example, instead of frame, and it'll change the component name within the tree. So very powerful, simple, like one-stop shop interface for editing both your Bommer metadata, which is stuff that you can export and will be useful for purchasing and so on and so forth, but even just your core Fusion 360 metadata that gets used on drawings or is used for organization of your parts. So Bommer launched very recently, and it is available for trial for both Windows and Mac in the Autodesk App Store now. I wanted to talk, I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. There's a lot of really cool things that we can do with this once you establish that, like, your metadata is right and stored along with your parts. But I wanted to share one really cool thing that we're building out right now, and that's the auto find and search for supplier info.
I'm going to just highlight it right here.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this possibility, especially with everyone out there using their McMaster-Carr files, right?
Absolutely. So the general idea here is many people keep their part numbers in various fields within their it's silly to say. You should be keeping your part numbers in one of various fields within your model. A lot of times it's stored in the part name, but with Bommer you can also put it in one of the various different metadata fields. In the future, Bomber will be able to find those part numbers, extract what it thinks are part numbers, and then go to any number of web sites out there and pull in, is it in stock, what's the order URL, what's the price, what's the sanitized part number. If there's like options, it will be able to help you know that you haven't fully spec'd your part number out correctly. And this is just another step in taking the potential for error out of your hands and letting you get to what is really important, which is I know what I'm buying to fulfill my design so that I can actually ship this product.
Yeah, and when you export it, that I see a vendor URL though, that will be properly hyperlinked in the Excel.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. That's pretty incredible stuff. I'm going to do one thing real quick here before we wrap up. I do want to show you how to get it. For those of you who are not familiar with how to get apps from the Fusion App Store, what I want you to do is just see this add-ins drop down at the right-hand side of your toolbar. All you need to do is go to Fusion App Store. Here you're going to find all kinds of different products to help you with particular requirements that you might have. I'm going to just search for Bommer here, and there we go. You can see it is both available for Mac OS and Windows 64. Make sure you select the correct operating system, and then from there you'll be able to download and start using it immediately. Any closing words you want to have, Jesse?
Just that, as I mentioned, it's launched recently. It's gotten a lot of good reception, but I always like to hear, or we always like to hear, what we did well, what we can do better, what ideas you have, what problems you're looking to solve. So our mission, as I mentioned, is get you error-free BOMs so you can ship better product and do it without requiring a massive learning curve or a bunch of expensive software. It's because of these reasons that I'm thrilled to be within Fusion 360 and working with Autodesk as a partner. And so any feedback you have for us, the email on the App Store page goes directly to my desk. You can tweet at us. You can let us know what you think, because I'm dying to hear from you.
Other than that, thanks Jesse for showing us your app. It's incredible, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you.